I pledge
I
allegiance
pledge allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag
of the United
of the
States
of
United
the United
States of America
States of
and
America
to the republic
Republic,
and to the
for which it
republic
which
stands,
stands
for which it
one
stands,
nation,
one
under
indivisible,
nation,
God,
God,
under God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and
with
justice
liberty
for
and
all.
justice for all.
Okay, roll call of directors. Director Garcia is absent. Director Gibson,
Here,
Director Kelling,
Here.
Director Nyman's here, Director Schoenberg.
here.
Okay, we have a quorum, one person absent. All right, discuss adjust agenda if necessary. I think we need to move up.
I'd like to make a motion to move all of the discussion we need Mr. D. Jasper on. So it would be starting with 11 and going through 15. I would like to move all that to right after the report of officers.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, Director Gibson has seconded it. Roll call directors. Director Garcia is absent. Director Gibson,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I, Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Motion carried, 4-0-1 absent. Okay, all right, on to public comments. I have to find it.
I have one other item on adjusting the agenda if possible,
Okay,
especially since we're missing one person. I wanted to also table 19 until the next meeting, the minutes.
okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Director Gibson seconded. Roll call directors. Director Garcia is absent. Director Gibson,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I, Director Schoenberg.
Aye, and that's the planning meeting, not the next regular meeting.
Okay. Okay. All right. So in public comments, is this the one from Holly Willoughby, Tiffany?
Yeah, that's one of them, unless you want to grab Elke first, since she's at the meeting and she's raising her hand.
Oh, Elke. Well, let's go ahead and let Elke speak first.
Before we start, can I just say that because these aren't on the agenda, we need to limit the discussion. If we need to continue, it needs to be placed on the agenda for the next meeting or the next
All
regular.
right. Well, Ilke has 5 minutes, so.
I don't even need that much. Thank you. I just thought you might be interested in knowing that my group, the Mountain Neighbors, who is an affiliate of the Chamber of Commerce, is doing several activities for Earth Day. We will do a major trash cleanup from Lebec to Fraser Park. And we will do some education about environmental issues. But what I thought you might be interested in, we are going to be planting some native plants in several spots in downtown Fraser Park, which will beautify Fraser Park and in the long run save water. So we thought that that was a really important aspect, and we thought you might be interested in that. And of course, you're welcome to join us.
That's awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Elke.
And Elke, just so you know, we have been talking to the chamber about the watering and everything of the plant. So that's great, because I know that there's been some mix up and issues with that.
Yeah, and BJ and I will be meeting with Johnny next week, so to
Great.
look at all the
Thank you.
details. It's great. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks for doing that.
Okay, so here we have thank you, Elke. We have a board meeting issue. We've got an email from one of our constituents. I guess I don't say her name, but, it says, hold on just a second, please. I apologize. Okay. Okay, here's the letter. Hello. I was unable to find the Zoom link to attend the board meeting this month, so I thought I would write. If you can send that link to me, I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, if you can at least discuss the situation I'm reporting, I can use the meeting link to watch the meeting afterwards. The issue to be addressed. I have a neighbor that uses water excessively as one of the numerous means to harass me. Close the door, please. He stands in the private road easement shared by 3 houses and waters the road for upwards of 30 minutes at a time. I have reported this twice now. He has also done this on at least one holiday, making it useless to report since Johnny said he needs to see it. The first time I reported this, Johnny came out and told me he wasn't sure if the water was from melting snow or not, so he said he gave the guy a warning and would cite him if he did it again. I offered to show Johnny the security footage I had that showed him watering this private road for more than 30 minutes. The excessive water runoff was not melting snow. He refused and said he wasn't going to cite him at that time. On March 29th, 21, he was out there again. He used so much water that it looked quite literally like there was a running stream in front of my driveway. The water ran all the way across East End Drive in a wide pool. And later when I left, I saw it had run all the way down to the base of the hill on East End Drive to the drain area at the bottom. I had called to report this before. I had to leave and no one had come out for quite some time to even check. Since I did have to leave, I did not see Johnny come out at all, though he said he did. When I called the next day, I asked for an update on the requested citation. I was transferred to Johnny and could instantly tell he was not happy to speak to me. He said he was not going to be my water Nazi or whipping stick because I did not like my neighbor. Obviously, I immediately felt insulted. I called because this person uses water in great excess and it's Johnny's job to handle such an issue. This neighbor stands out there and does numerous things to harass me and the other neighbors who share the private road. Despite this fact, the only issue Johnny needs to be concerned himself with is the part where this person has and continues to use water as one of the means with which he does his damage. The fact is that his use of water in the area is completely unwarranted. No one waters a private roadway for any legitimate reason and definitely not for 30 minutes at a time. It is a dirt road meant to give 3 residents access to each property. This is all it is to be used for. This is a big part of the point in all of this. He is completely wasting the water, 100% waste of our limited water supply, so he can create damage and issues for others. And the amount he uses to conduct his harassment is insane. I am a resident of this mountain and I own my home. The proper use of water concerns me very much. All of us needs to use it responsibly, and I expect our water supervisor to do his job and not to tell me I'm only calling because I don't like the person I'm reporting. I report things that are not right, period. And I want to know that an issue such as this will be handled when I do. Johnny also told me he never said he'd cite the person next time, but this is not true. He did tell me that. I remember it specifically because I was not happy that he did not cite him the very first time for standing out there and watering the road for more than 30 minutes, and that he refused to look at the video evidence I had. Again, this person is wasting our mountain community water. He is doing so in a completely useless way, watering a private road. There is no valid reason for him to do this, and I was told if the water runs down East End Drive again, he'd be cited, so he needs to be cited. Additionally, I'd like some respect if I need to call to report something. If Johnny feels uncomfortable enforcing the rules because people who break them call him a name, he said others have called him a water Nazi when he has gone to enforce the rules, which is why he used that term in the conversation with me. Perhaps someone who is less sensitive should do the enforcement. Either way, I expect anyone who stands outside and uselessly applies water to a private road of upwards of 30 minutes, creating a stream in front of my driveway that runs all the way across and down the public road needs to be cited for wasting water. Your help as a resolution to this instance will be greatly appreciated. Thank you. I look forward to hearing back.
Well, that was a little bit longer than necessary, but yeah, this whole thing, when she's talking about, she reported this guy before.
Okay, before we go into all this, I think that we should be putting this on the agenda and
Well, it's a very simple explanation. It's simple. It's going to take just a minute. It was a year ago when she reported it before, roughly a year ago. This time when she reported it, I went out there, I talked to the guy, said, if you do it again, I'm going to have to go ahead and cite you for it. I have not been citing people that comply with me speaking to them. So it had been a year. I went back out, I talked to him. If I find him, it's going to actually be this older woman that lives there at the house. So I did tell him, look, if you do it again, you're going to get cited. But this is definitely a matter of neighbors that are just at each other's throats that I choose to try to stay out of. I will enforce the water conservation, but I think after a year, it's not, doesn't merit a citing or a fining, because I did not see the water personally myself. And I went right by there. But I couldn't go out there immediately because we're out at Wolf Tank doing the Wolf Tank project. So if you want to make it an agenda item to have me enforce everyone immediately and without visually seeing it myself, I guess we could do that. But I think I'm upholding it pretty well.
Well, I think that maybe, excuse me, we
ahead,
should make it
Director
an
Gibson.
agenda item so that she knows that she's been heard.
That's fine. We'll put it on the next regular meeting.
did you actually use the words water Nazi or whipping stick?
Yeah, I used whipping stick because she was yelling and screaming at me and cussing at me and calling me names during the whole phone call. She hasn't been nice to the front desk. She wasn't nice to me in the slightest little bit. When I have gone out there and tried to talk, it's just a bunch of yelling. So yeah, it's been a difficult situation that I'm trying to uphold. But I like I said, I don't want to, because somebody hates their neighbor for all the reasons she told me. I told her she needs to call the sheriff, have the sheriff go and enforce this. I'm not that guy, but I'm like the last guy on the list that she feels like might be able to help her. But
Right.
if water runs down your street, and you live on a hill, it's going to run into the street if you don't have the nozzle on the hose. And if you do it once and then you don't do it again for another year, I felt like it merited, a little bit of leeway since I didn't actually see it myself. If he does it again, he's going to get the citation, the violation letter, and then if he does it again, it's $100 fine. So, I mean, it's in place. It will happen, but I just felt like it had been long enough to where he could have another mistake.
Okay.
So yeah, we could put it on the agenda though.
Yeah. So.
I mean, we got in touch with her today to give her the information that she could be at this meeting tonight, right?
Yeah. Well,
I sent her an email.
I don't know.
I did. I sent her an email with the link.
So I personally feel like this will go away if it's just as cut and dried as I said. If he does it again, I told her repeatedly, call me when he's doing it. I will go there and then I will give the citation.
Okay, and what happens, Johnny, if she calls you and you're doing something else again? Because that's what happened, saying she called.
Well,
And-
I mean, sure, that could happen any time. I still went. I just wasn't there immediately when it was happening. When I got there, there was no water at the bottom of my bee stand. I could see where the water ran past her driveway. I could see where the dirt was still wet, but it wasn't some catastrophic, puddle of water or nothing. So I went there, I talked to him, told him what was going to happen. Then I found out the lady he lives with is the one that's going to get the fine and not him. So I felt like I would try to talk some sense into him, and he hasn't done it since, because now I'm watching. Every time I go by, I watch and make sure that he's not doing nothing.
Okay, so I think it would be nice to just do some sort of letter or something to address that. Although we do have that in the minutes, or I guess maybe the minutes are enough, but I think, that.
I mean, I could go ahead and send the violation to the neighbor, but I've been reluctant to do that because if you do it a second time, you get $100 fine. So, if I start doing it because these people are mad at each other and I do it to everybody instead of talking, then I have to do it to everybody in town, and that's gonna not be a good situation. So
Does it say, the only reason I want it on the agenda is I'd like to see it as a policy, and
it is.
does it
You
say
guys,
twice? Does it say once?
you guys voted it in and said that when somebody violates that stuff, you give them the violation. The second time they do it, it's $100 fine. The third time you lock them off. And then when we do let them turn the water back on, it's another $100.
Right, but we need something, we need to amend that, I think, to just say how many times we're going out and talking to them. So, I understand that we're going to talk to somebody first. We're not going to just immediately cite somebody for water. We're going to ask them not to do it. We're going to make a note of it. And, so I just think it'd be nice on the agenda for two reasons. One is to maybe amend that policy so it's a little bit clearer. And, it's very, very cut and dry what our procedure is. And then the second thing.
I would like you to start off with verbal counseling with people, because that's not the way it's written right now. So that would help to have that in there.
It needs to be on the agenda.
Let's put it on the agenda so we can discuss it and come up with
All right, on the next regular meeting, right?
Yes.
Yes, the next regular meeting.
And I'd also like the person to understand that we are, that we're taking her concern,
Seriously.
We're making note of her issue, and any issue where she feels disrespected to, kind of resolve that. So.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
And if we are disrespected, to resolve it also. So,
that's kind of what happens.
Okay. So I do think it'd be great on the agenda.
All right.
Okay, on to, what was it, number 4? Where did we put the,
It was
It was after 4.
After 4, I'm sorry.
okay, report of officers,
There was
president?
another public comment letter.
Oh, there is?
Yeah,
Is that one that was in our board packet? I didn't see it.
it's in there. It's the Mountain Communities letter. He wanted it.
Oh, for the signage, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one? Okay, that one's March 15th, 2021?
March 11th, 2021.
March 11th.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, wrong
Oh,
one. Yeah,
I
March
see it.
15th.
I see
Okay,
it.
okay,
Sorry.
okay, The purpose of this letter is to clarify the stipulations and conditions of the Chamber's billboard lease agreement 2021. Unless these contingencies are written in the new contract for 2021, let this letter serve as an official notice to FPPUD in regard to the following issues. The Mountain Communities Chamber of Commerce acknowledges the FPPUD logo on the billboard has been requested to be replaced and will do so when new signs are ordered and/or the installation truck is scheduled to come out. The FPPUD kindly agreed not to solely have their logo sign replaced, thus saving the chamber extra expenses. We thank you for that. To reiterate, our renewals go out in April, which is beginning of our fiscal years. If no billboard work is scheduled for 2021 year, the FPPU sign will not be replaced for that fiscal year. So you're talking us waiting another year. Okay, the operation and conditions to the street lights will be added to our monthly chamber report. As I promised the FPPUD board, I will stay on top of this. I need to officially report that there were 3 separate thefts that happened on your property to our signs within the last several months. Reports were submitted to the Sheriff's Department. 2 phone calls were made to Mr. Allison that were unreturned. However, the 3rd call I made, I was able to speak to him and made him aware of what was happening. The MCCOC wishes to maintain a healthy and prosperous relationship with FPPUD. Thank you for listening.
Okay, I would like to comment on
Sure,
this.
go ahead, Director Schoenberg.
I think that we need to have some clarification because we were not talking just about our logo. We were talking about multiple things that are peeling and not just our logo. So I think that all that that Mr. I'm not sure how you say his last name, that BJ said, Mr. Sadie, I think, Sadie, he didn't hear that part. He didn't hear that we reiterated numerous times that it wasn't just about our logo.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
so I have an issue with them saying that they're not going to do it for another year if there's nothing else to do. Because I believe there were other logo sign, there were other I don't know because I haven't gone right up under it, but it appeared to me that there are other peeling signs.
There is, and yeah, there is. I think BJ had voiced to somebody at the office that his concern is that since people during COVID aren't paying their bills, that there may not be money, and they don't want to lose the sign project because they're unable to afford the sign. So I don't know where the money that's already been made before COVID hit, where that went, because they didn't even know that they were responsible for taking care of any of that stuff.
Well, it was in the contract.
Yeah, I know, but when he called, see, when this all started, he called and had a laundry list of things that he expected us to fix, which was everything, fix all of that stuff. And when I pointed out that it was their responsibility and that's what the money's supposed to be for, that's where we're at now, where now he understands that he's responsible for it. But there was still a period of time before COVID hit when money was made on them signs. So you would think it would be put in the bank and they would have the money to do the necessary repairs. So I don't know where we stand right now, but I'll discuss it with him. I have an appointment with him on Wednesday at 1:00, and to show him the downtown planners that he's responsible for, and then see what we have to do from that point.
Yeah, I think he doesn't understand part of the contract because this part that he reported to you about thefts.
Yeah, and that's not even us. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's their liability. Do they have
Yeah.
those signs insured? Because they're supposed to have them insured with us as additionally insured.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see us again put this on the agenda. I think it's, we don't have enough time to discuss it this evening, but I don't believe that it's resolved.
Okay, so
I agree.
put it on the regular meeting.
Yes.
Okay. All right, on to 4, report of officers. President is absent. Vice President has nothing. Secretary,
I have nothing.
Treasurer,
So I guess we should bring up the fact that you actually changed and let me know that, I mean, it's okay. But the fact that we're going to have printed statements of the credit card billings, which we'll bring up under the finances, but there's some issues with those. And so that's been changed to receive. Hopefully we won't be billed for those.
change for paper statements to come.
Paper statements. So that's on both both Johnny and
Yeah, my only concern with that is that we're gonna get a paper statement, but we probably still want to go online because the statement date is of the 5th, and we could discuss this more in the because the statement in the
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
financials.
Yeah, because I never changed nothing. I can't even access the
No,
website.
I went in today because we've been having problems of the statements not being printed out.
Oh,
And
okay.
and then we have to have them approved. We have to have them approved by our second meeting.
It
Okay.
was actually changed by a board decision that we decided not to do paper statements because we were being billed for all the statements. And it was getting like kind of crazy. So pricey wise, for something we could look up online, but I think that we're having issues with the credit card statements. So that's why Director Nyman did that. And then it's the other thing. I have not completed the transfers yet for April 15th for the USDA, and I need to still, I have some confusion on that still because there's money in there right now already that we had accidentally put too much money in. So I just need to look at that a little bit better before that date, make sure that the correct amounts are in there. And then also there's a couple of transfers that still need to be done. I think, I'm not sure. So I'm looking at the bank statements to see if the D Jasper transfer and one of the other ones that Brahma was asking me about, the Director Nyman was asking about. Anyway, so I'll be looking at that to kind of see if all the transfers were done. And I've not yet transferred back the money that I mistakenly transferred into our operating revenue twice. So so I need to return that to the capital improvement fund, which I have not done yet.
Right.
That-
Okay. All right. So we just need to also make sure that because we're buying the excavator that we if we're transferring back, we need to transfer whatever funds we need from the proper account. We'll discuss that more.
Yeah, well, that'll come up in the financials.
Okay, JPI representative, I don't think there's anything.
No, I have nothing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, unfinished business, 11, discussion vote on Fraser Park Lake of the Woods Consolidation Planning Project. Okay, discussion and vote on test wells. Where do we stand on that, Dee?
We've got the package, the contract package together. I was getting ready to send it over to Alan, and then I noticed that on the liability insurance, there's a requirement that additionally named insureds are the state of California and of course Fraser Park, and Fraser Park is noted as an additionally insured, but also our firm as well. So I have contacted Johnson Drilling and told them that we need a new certificate, liability insurance certificate. I know that Alan would bounce that, and so there's no reason to send him over a package that he has to go over twice and spend more time on. So I should receive that early next week, I hope, and then I'll get the complete package over to Alan, and he can review it.
Okay. Okay, that was actually, that's part of B. So that's where we stand on the contract for Johnson Drilling.
Mhm.
Okay, C, discussion vote on engineering planning contract amendment. I'm not
Sent over a memorandum on the 19th, and then followed it up with one on the 31st, explaining the details of the, I'm sorry, both of those were on the 19th. The second one was a more detail. And then what I've done also is there was an issue with item number 43 on our standard contract. And what I've done on that is just very simply X'd it out, put a box around it, put deleted next to it, and then I'll date it and sign it. And if I haven't, so that's really where we are. If we're in agreement with going ahead with it, then I'll send everything back to the district as one package. It's ready to go.
Okay, so. So this. So this 16,000, oh, this is the MSR update. This is your cost?
Yeah, that's
What-
30,
We're not on the MSR update. We're on the contract.
correct. We're on the contract right now.
So point of order.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to review that.
Well, we've got some time, I think, still where, you know,
D, I was reviewing part, but can we bring that back up again in on the agenda for the planning meeting?
yes. Yes. Be appropriate for the planning committee. For sure. So,
And that way we meet the week before, and if there's anything else that we're kind of having issues with, we can discuss that on our phone call and get that straightened out.
yeah, that would be fine. I'll make a note. And then Tiffany, you'll put that on the agenda.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Okay, D, discussion vote on district sphere of influence for annexation, data collection and mapping.
I've got some explaining to do on that. I'm writing a note here. Let me just get this one finished. The amount of work that we have to do, I've pretty well outlined it. Again, it's a budget. I hope that we don't spend all that money. But you can see that the components that I've got in there. I think Pravesh sent his proposal to the district last, probably Monday or Tuesday. I've put in time for doing a general project description, map preparation, the reports on hydrogeology and water demand. Those, there are two that we've used as reference. The third one is the groundwater conditions in Fraser Park. And I talked with Ken Schmidt and got an idea from him about the time that he would require to update his part of that. And then the regional water supply study, which was the study that I did back in 2015, was the groundwater balance that we prepared, would be redone with the projections of the new service area for the SOI, which would be some addition of some property on the west end of Lake of the Woods. And then also would be several lots in between Lake of the Woods and Fraser Park. So that would require a bit of time to go into that and redo some demands. And then the other part of that study, which was really, I think maybe one of the more important parts, is the amount of groundwater in storage. And from the time that we issued that report in 2015 to today, we have some pretty darn accurate mapping of the aquifer now in Cuddy Creek. And so I would incorporate the volumes that we've come up with along Cuddy Creek to determine just how much water we really do have in storage in the Cuddy Creek Canyon. So it would take a bit of an effort, but we do have all the data. And then estimating the water demands for the study area, that would be that report we did in 2015. And we would update that with information from both Lake of the Woods and the district. So those are some things that we kind of have to focus on for LAFCO, for the SOI, for the MSR. Then we need to look at water quality and see if there's been really much of a change in water quality. And, we rely pretty much on what has gone on with respect to the district's wells and Lake of the Woods wells. Then updating the water system cost estimates that we last did, I think about 2015 as well. Those need to be, that's for the entire system. That needs to be updated as well. And then the water system layout for the two service areas needs to be updated as well. And again, all of these aren't huge undertakings, but when you start looking at what it might take to do it, they come up with a pretty big number. So tried to shave it down as much as I could and still leave enough money in there that I don't go over budget.
Can I say one thing, Dee, before you continue?
Yeah.
I mean, you have all this included under MSR, and I think that at least the sphere of influence should be broken out previous to the MSR. Like that is, yes, it's needed for the MSR, but it is it's something we would be putting in. I mean, I know you said, I mean, I know you have that you're going to send it to LAFCO for review, but I'm just wondering, I mean, it seems like they're kind of meshed together right now. Everything's meshed together.
Yeah, it is because really the MSR is being done for an update or, our regional project as modified by the sphere of influence. We're adding a little bit. to it, to our regional project. For the MSR, we have to recognize what it would take to serve the lands that we're including in the sphere of influence. So they are kind of meshed together. And so what we do
I'm
is,
just concerned though that we have them meshed together as far as monies go. I think they need to be separated.
the only thing that would come out of that, I think, Lisa, would be the mapping.
Right.
Which everything-
Which is a 1346?
Yeah, whatever that amount would be, and we can take that out. Yeah, map preparation out of that. And then the rest of it is an update on stuff that we've done before, but having to bring it 7 years forward. Well, six.
And you don't know what the amounts might be for Ken Schmidt?
Yeah, I've estimated that by talking to Ken.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see
And
that.
so,
But I'm sorry. So the groundwater conditions are just you're using the 2003, but then the 2005. I mean, you're using previous stuff, and then you're saying that that's going to get pulled together again from the 2015, the 2008, and the 2003 into a new report.
no, it would just be updating the 2015 that we did. And using the 2003 and the 2008 are just background for us. And we haven't, that's reports that we'll read over just to make sure we understand what they said back then. But the 2015 report by Schmidt would be updated with respect to any new
Level.
information we think that we have.
Right. So it would be compared to what we see, the levels that we're seeing now. Okay.
What kind of information goes into that, D? I mean, we have to provide them with static well levels or
Mhm.
and kind of a mapping of all that out of where we've been for the last 3 years or last 5 years.
Probably the big thing is the static water levels. And I think where it's really going to show will be Lake of the Woods and the areas up in Lake of the Woods that, that apparently they're not out of water and yet, but, we need to update the water level in the Lake of the Woods wells. If we can get some water levels between Lake of the Woods and Fraser Park, we will. And then down in Fraser Park, of course, that's us. And we'll update that as well. Then we'll look at water quality. Has it changed? Are we staying pretty stable? Fortunately, we are. And then Lake of the Woods, what's happening up there? Because that's probably where we're going to have the biggest problem with respect to water quality. So we'll have to fold that in. We'll rely on the district as much as we can to get water quality samples. And Lake of the Woods, Pam and the folks up there to give us the latest information.
Dave wants to say something, D.
And I know Lake of the Woods is on here, but they've been monitoring their wells and their water quality, and it showed the water supply has gone up. And so, I mean, I don't know if somebody wants to speak to that, but there's information available that they keep very good close watch on, and they're also monitoring their water use right now with the new meters that they were put in.
That's good. That information is what we need to incorporate. And so when you say up, Dave, do you mean better?
I'll let
water quality is getting better. Is that what you meant?
I'll let Lake of the Woods, just Pam and John, the folks, Joan, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I can speak. I can email you the well production and sounding and the nitrate updated information that's coming out of our blending station and our wells.
Good. That's the information we'll need, Pam, and then water levels as well. And then we'll incorporate that information into the groundwater conditions and report for the entire Cuddy Canyon. So yeah, and that's good. I kind of figured you'd had that, and we'll incorporate that into the report.
So I guess the question I have, so the map preparation for the SOI, you have 1346, what you're talking about taking out of that. Where are we doing the funding for that? Is that coming? That's coming.
All of this needs to be addressed with Lawrence. This is the stuff we need to bring up at the ad hoc to see, this was what we were asking Dee for, was that we need separate line items for all of these different things, so that, because right now there is no money coming, it needs to be written into, what's in the planning budget, so that we can pay for it.
Right, that's what I was thinking. So the 16,776, without taking that out, that's Dee's cost for engineering and Ken Schmidt. That does not include Ravish, which is Stan Hoffman Associates, and that's another 12 grand.
That's correct.
Or around 12 grand, because I think it was a little bit over, but that's what I remember seeing in the email. Okay.
And I thought those costs were going down somewhat, based on the fact that you were having to do a lot of engineering work, and he was taking a lot of that stuff and compiling it, and he had already done, we had already paid $24,000 already, or whatever it was, 20 something thousand dollars.
I hope that I'm pretty sure that he sent his latest proposal to the district. Is that
He
right?
did. I haven't had a chance to review it. I have to print it out.
Okay.
Amongst the 100 other things I have to look at.
You know what? I really appreciate what you guys do. And, people don't understand. I'll get off my soapbox, but they don't understand the amount of work that a board of directors of a water company puts in, especially a small water company. And you guys have a heck of a burden, for not really a lot of pay and recognition. And I'm glad you're on the board, because somebody up there, all of you, cares for what's going on in this community, and that's really to be applauded. But you never get applauded; you just get criticized, and that's too bad.
No, nobody ever criticizes us.
I haven't heard anything, but yeah.
Well, thank you, Dee. I appreciate that. I think it's just we've had so many things. We have so many projects going on at once. It's a lot to try to keep up with,
So this was for information, and then we got to figure out how we're going to get the money for it before we move ahead. That's
okay. So when we do our regional state update this month, then we'll be discussing with Lawrence. And I guess you want to break that 1346, which I think I'm feeling a little frustrated with this sphere of influence, because I don't feel like I know where we're at with it. Because we seem to have run in circles and talked about it so many times. I just want to make sure that we're you know, that somehow we get moving forward on this, or where we were, I'm just a little confused as to where we need to go from here.
You know, I think, you know, Lisa is right. We gotta make a map and submit it. You know, and tell that, look, this is kind of where we're gonna go. And this is what we want as our sphere of influence. They ultimately are the ones that have to approve that. So, you know, that's really the first thing to do. And then,
Right, and then we need to give them the MSR to back that up, that we are able to achieve that.
correct.
Okay. Okay, so that, so we've come also on E, vote on project municipal review quote, draft MSR, data collection, scope of work, and LAPCO. So, so what more do we need? I think, what more do we need to discuss on this, Director Schoenberg?
I think, you know, we have an amount for the SOI, we have an amount for D's portion of the MSR, and we have an amount, which I still need to look at a little bit more closely for Stan Hoffman and Associates portion. So I think the next thing is that we, at the state meeting, that we, you know, we need to have that written up so that we can tell Lawrence where we need line items, where we would need money transferred from the contingency to those line items, so that they're, you know, make sure that he's okay with that. Let him know the amounts, let him know what each item's for, and make sure that we have that within the planning so that we're able to actually pay for these things. And then as soon as we get that squared away, then we should to move forward. We just don't have money to pay for it.
Okay,
Correct.
let me ask a question, Dave. Just offhand, I had seen an email from you where you had asked about changing some form, and they had responded to you that you couldn't change the amounts on the form. And I'm a little, is that something different?
Yeah, that's something different. That is that was the form that Jerry has to sign when it goes into the state, when your claims go into the state.
Okay.
And there's a set amount that Carlos pointed out. Is there, hey, that amount, you know, doesn't match what you have in the budget. The budget we've changed. And I asked Lawrence that. Lawrence just says that stays in place because that reflects your funding.
Okay, so we're updating and putting the line items according to the what they approve, but as far as when you send in the claim, that budget amount just stays where it's at and how it is.
We can't change those budget amounts that are on the face part of the form.
Okay.
To reflect, but we do have, you can change the line items in the budget on the third page.
Right.
And we have documentation that Lawrence, the state, has approved each time you go forward.
Right, because we sent them a letter. Okay,
Right.
all right. Sometimes there's a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah, and some don't move, like the state part of that.
Okay. All right, are we finished with this discussion? Does anybody else have any comments or? Okay, discussion vote on memorandum of understanding. Okay, I see that this is the original agreement we worked on.
Right. It doesn't have all the additional
Contingencies.
contingencies, correct?
Okay, so what do we need to do on this item right here, right now? This is something that we need to, because this is another thing that we need to, I guess, put a line item, because this is what you were discussing before, Director Schoenberg.
Right, but primarily a lot of that
That's
is
Young and Wooldridge.
Yes, yeah. Hmm.
Okay, and so how are we gonna determine that total cost of what we think that these costs are? Because we have to discuss this um, with Lawrence, about getting a budget line item for that.
I have a question.
Sure.
On the MOUs, the one in the packet is just for the Lake of the Woods stuff?
Well, okay, so the MOU, this was originally when we did the pre-planning, we had started to do a memorandum of understanding about transfer of assets. But what's lacking in this MOU is any contingencies as far as, because LAFCO said we could put contingencies in here. One of them, was that they get meters, that they update their piping, that and one of the contingencies is something about that the state give us funding, that we're able to get funding.
The contingencies actually need to go in both things. Part of that is the MSR, which I think you're confused, which would be LAFCO. The
Right.
MOU is our agreement with the
Lake of the
state,
Woods.
right, Lake of the Woods and the other property owners, that the, state is requests as well. And that also needs to have, some stuff spelled out as, what our understanding is. But they're two separate things. It needs to be spelled out in both places.
Okay, but the MOU in our packet, it seems like all it deals with is Lake of the Woods, not the other property owners.
That's correct.
Okay, so do we need a separate one for the property owners? Or
Well,
do we combine that into the?
Yes, no, there's a separate, right now it's the way it was constructed by, or, what we have so far is that there's just a one page. I don't know if they ever even got finished, but, Dee had talked about sort of this really minimal agreement, but I'm a little concerned about that it was too minimal. But there should be an agreement between each of the property owners as well. So, and that's completely separate from Lake of the Woods.
Okay, so then we don't even have that in our packet. Okay, that's
No.
what I wanted to confirm. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we can move on to, because I guess that's all the discussion we're gonna do on this tonight. So we're,
Well, I'm not sure where we get the, how we come up with the budget for this. I don't know if Dave has a better idea of, what we should be asking for, because I'm a little, we don't know what that, but
Well, you need stuff to add to the MOU. And that would still go through the attorney to add that stuff, right?
correct.
And that would take your time and his to add those items. The MOU is pretty extensive, but I mean, you can always add a condition for funding to pay for the necessary equipment to be added. I mean, the district, Lake of the Woods is going forward and adding that stuff as we speak. And there's still the necessary cost for pipeline. All that's going to be developed out of Dee's preliminary design report, and your test well, when that comes in. I mean, that's all part of the application. That's just a condition. I don't know how detailed do you want it to get. I mean, do you want every I dotted and T crossed? There's at this point, it's too preliminary. You're going to have to wait for the preliminary design report, which will detail the storage and all this other stuff that will go in the application when you
right. We're just concerned that we need to put in some amount because if we wait too long, that there may not be money left in the contingency to pay for it.
Some amount to pay for the updating the MOU.
Right,
Correct.
correct.
And that's a question for the attorney.
Okay.
What did it cost for us to get this far? I think it's gonna cost at least that for him to update it with all the new information that Dee will be providing.
Well, you could do it by reference.
Yeah,
And
that-
if Dee prepares a preliminary design report and you folks agree with it, and Lake of the Woods folks understand it, it could be incorporated by reference, not page by page.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that part can be done that way. It's just, it's more the part that we have not put in there that we have talked about in numerous conversations with all kinds of people like LAFCO and everyone else is that, you know, we still have to have that understanding with all of these people that even though we're going to put stuff on file and we're going to do this annexation and that none of it can go completely through without us being able to have money to fund the pipeline going to, you know, all of these people. So, and all the other components that are needed to put water through that pipeline. So, I mean, that's the issue, is that we've just, and yes, we can't move forward with it completely until we have an understanding of that. That's why we put it at the end, because originally it was, you know, put at the very, like one of the first tasks of the planning, but it can't possibly be that because we need to know about the test wells. Are we going to have enough water? Or, you know, we need information from Dee's report. So I understand it needs to go towards the end. It just dropped off. There's nowhere that it mentions anything about funding for the MOU in our planning.
Okay. And we are trying to get this regional project moved to a safer funding level. And we don't know if they're going to agree to that. If they agree to that, we have significant funds to pay consultants, engineers, lawyers, fees, hydrologists, stuff like that. So we have significant funds to pay for something like an MOU cost.
But you're going to be gone.
Well, the state's reviewing the list, and I would hope that they would get us a list soon because we've just signed that safer contract, not within a month. And we're expected to move forward, and the state wants to move forward, and we want to identify projects. We have suggested that the regional project be part of the safer project funding. So, and once they identify that it is, they can move over and we can start allocating funds for certain of those costs. We did get some additional funding for these costs and for the legal costs that is on the regional project. So
Okay.
we're working on it.
All
I'm
right.
not done yet. I'm leaving July 31st.
We're gonna get every drop of blood out of you before then.
Well, and Carlos is stepping in. Carlos will be stepping in. So,
So I think we just need to continue to discuss this. So, I mean, I'm just keep bringing it up because I don't want it to drop away and not be addressed.
yes.
And so right now, there's a possibility it can be addressed with the safer funds. There's a possibility we can take some money out of contingency and move it to another line item. So it's kind of, we just need to know which direction we're going in, or are we doing both?
We're looking at, I'd say you're looking at safer, but if there's no safer, and we should find out soon, whether it's not a safer or it's just strictly a regular application for funds, then you'd have to go to the contingency to pay for some of those costs.
Okay, so right now where we stand is that we're going to continue this next meeting with Lawrence, we're gonna more talk about the MSR and the SOI and getting him to give line items for that money and get this approved. And the other one, soon we should know something from Safer, so hopefully we can discuss this again and then then we can either approach Lawrence for some money. I don't know whether we want to send an email to Young and Wooldridge for them to look at what their costs would be to update the MOU. Maybe have Johnny send an email to them or Dee to kind of get an idea what his cost might be to update that so that we could have an idea.
It would be, I think it'll be a question that will be asked by the state. Well, how much is it going to cost to update it?
Right.
And I'm sure that the attorney's going to say, well, what else do you want in it? And we just discussed the line, Lisa had mentioned, and you folks had mentioned the items you wanted added to that. And I think you can add it by reference because, I mean, Dee's going to, at the end of this project, Dee should have 90% plans and specs. The preliminary design report, which talks about everything in general, but the plan, you'll have plans and specs for what you're going to build.
Right.
And that would include a lot of the items that were listed here.
Okay.
But again, it's conditional upon funding from the state.
Right.
Dee,
I
do you
think
think
that's
you
the-
could send that email?
Huh?
I was asking if Dee could send that email.
Yeah, no problem, Johnny. I'll send something over to Alan and get him to start thinking about it.
Thank you, Dee. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay.
And do you need to leave, Dee?
Yes, I do. I do. Let me see. I was just going to see if I could comment on the next couple of items just briefly before I do.
Okay, quickly, claims and payouts. I don't think there's a lot of discussion on that. We received claim 6, and that check was $10,696.78. And so there's a in our packet there's a breakdown of where that money is to go. So so Director Schoenberg will have to look at what needs to be transferred back to the Revenue Operating Fund. We've cut checks for D. Jasper and Associates on that, and and then we'll go from there. Dave, did you have something quick?
Claim 7 was received by the state today.
Okay. So that's in process. Okay, anything else on that? Okay, so on the 12D, update on Fraser Park Public Utility District Replacement Project, Emergency Replacement Well and Water Supply Project.
Yeah, I really don't have much to say about that. Everything's in, and as far as I know, and I think it's in Lawrence's ballpark to push that on through. I would understand. So really, I don't have anything to add on that. And the pipeline replacement project, if you don't mind, can you go into 13 real quick?
Do we need to make a motion, or can we?
No, I mean, we don't have anything on, we don't have an update on the application. It's done. B, we aren't moving forward on the bridge loan yet. C, we don't have claims and payouts, so.
Okay. 13, discussion vote on pipeline replacement project.
I have nothing new on that unless Johnny has any input there.
I don't.
Okay.
I had a comment is that funding for that could potentially come from the state or potentially, I know Johnny and Dee had sent me some information about that potential funding from the COVID. But we don't know where the state is dispersing those funds, or the county is. And then there's potential, if that infrastructure program, it could be a potential for the infrastructure program, if it ever comes through.
Okay. All right, 14, discussion vote on community power resiliency allocation to special districts grant.
Okay, I started gathering, I reached out to, this is the backup generator one, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
I reached out to the electrical engineer, Dee suggested, he said he'd be happy to work with us and that he's done this. I think I want to say a couple hundred times, maybe not that many, but a lot. So there's some information I got to gather. I've got most of it gathered, and Monday I'll start forwarding that to him, and I'll get a cost estimate from him for the speccing out of the generators. Oh, and
I believe that. Okay, I just say I believe that Tiffany moved money into our SLA account for that.
Cool. And the other thing I wanted to mention was I requested when I talked to the original guy that spec'd all these out, he was explaining to me that the propane generators seem like a good idea, but they're a lot larger generators, meaning a lot more costly, as well as I think he said you get 5 or 8 hours of running for 500 gallons of propane. So we're talking several $100s for every day we have to run it. So I reached out and asked if we could spend the money on diesel generators, tier 4 compliant, like the one that we have already, because that's still better for the environment. And the response I got was a little bit vague. It said that we could get whatever is on that list. So I still have to try to pin that down a little bit more and try to get him to say, yes, you could buy those generators.
Yeah, I think we just need to be clear and make sure that whatever we come to make a decision on, that they approve that before we spend any money on that.
Tiffany, you read the email. Did you get the same idea as me that she said, yes, we could?
Yeah, she was really vague, like you said, but it sounds like as long as it's an environmentally friendly product that we're allowed to buy via the agreement, then it should be fine.
Yeah, so I'll reach out again on Monday and try to pin her down explicitly to the diesel with the tier 4 compliant emissions on it.
Yeah, because I don't want to spend all this money and then have them come back and want their money back.
No, and I think what would happen is we just wouldn't get any more funding ever again from them. We don't want that. We like funding.
Yeah, okay. And 15, discussion vote on emergency repairs to Wolf Booster and tank site. Update on the project.
It's I don't know if Dee has something specific, but it's been moving along good. We've done both of the tie-ins at 2 separate times. We did the 6-inch first, now the 8-inch. We got the back tees down at the lab. We're going into work again tomorrow to hopefully get the all clear if the back tees come back good, and then we'll post the cancellation of the boil notice tomorrow. I'll be up at the tank early in the morning. P&J is coming to make it to where we can move the temporary booster pump over onto its pad and get it all hooked up too. The new vertical pump, we've been running that all day. It tested really well, seems to be working great. So the project's moving along good. So hopefully it'll just continue. It should start going a lot faster now, I would assume.
Okay.
And I have nothing to add to that. Things are going well.
Okay.
Keep our fingers-
And there isn't any claims or payouts at this time.
Correct.
Okay. All righty. I think that's it for you, Dee.
Thank you, Dee.
Well, thank you for being understanding. I appreciate that. And we'll talk, I'm sure soon, and certainly at the planning meeting just coming up here in the next 2 weeks.
Yes. Okay. I have my work cut out for me. Great.
Thankfully,
Okay,
good, thank you. Good night.
thank
Night.
you. And I'm just looking quickly to see, I don't think there's anything else for Dave.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Dave.
Take care.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so back to four, I guess, number five, board are there any board member initiatives at this time? Okay, hearing none. On to the manager's report.
All right. It's been so busy at work, I forget if I told you about a work injury to one of our guys, but one of our guys took a digging bar to the forehead trying to pry the big lid off of the meter box at the library. So he went down and he got 3 stitches, and he returned to work right away. I mean, he came in with restrictions for a few days, and now he's back to full duty. We had only 2 main breaks. One of them was on North End, really late night, midnight, worked till like 8 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. That was kind of difficult. We had 5 after hour call outs. Again, a lot of it is PLC alarms. I spoke to Ness. He had, before, he couldn't afford to buy this really expensive piece of equipment that he thinks is going to really help us find out why we have these. And it's some type of a gauge or a scope that they can tell why the radio frequencies aren't traveling right and how to fix it. So he's really busy right now, but he's trying to get down here to work through some of these details with us. We also have a new application for water service. You know what? I put Dakota Trail. That should have been Texas Trail on my manager's report. So 3428 Texas Trail. We still have to investigate that. 3501 Nebraska Trail paid in full. So we're scheduling hopefully next week to install that water service. There's one on the corner of High Trail and West End. The lot blocking track is 13-15-4. They paid in full, so we're also going to install that. And then
And
35. Yeah.
quick question. Those are going into, you're making sure those are going into the right spot, right account.
Well, actually, that's why I'm talking to you about it right now, is because you're the one that has to transfer those funds into the pipeline. So one of them, I don't have the information here. One of them is $9,000 and one is $8,000. There's one 3/4 inch going in and one 1 inch going in. So you could transfer that money. And the last thing is we approved a will serve letter for 3525 Illinois, and their application date was September 10th. So they forfeited their $200. They called and asked for a couple of days past the 6 months that they were going to pay for sure, and then they didn't. So now it's been plenty enough time. So that $200 now is the water companies. Nah, that's all I got except for questions.
Well, I guess so on Illinois Trail, because I know they've been doing work over there. So it's just a matter of them, they're gonna have to come and reapply. Is that how that works, Johnny?
Yeah, they're gonna have to come and reapply. And this actually brings up a good topic. We haven't been able to find it, but there's one person on Kiwanis Trail that tried. He wanted will serve. I told him that we couldn't do it without him doing the mainline extension. And now he's actually framing up a house, and he's got a water tank sitting on his property. So he's providing water from a water tank. I thought for sure we had something that stipulated that if you don't have a building here in Fraser Park, we had to supply the water, but Tiffany has not been able to find that. So that's something we need to probably address.
Yeah, I believe we need to talk to our attorney about, because as far as I know, we have, if you're within our boundaries, you are, your property is, you don't get a choice of whether you can't just set up something in our annexation area and boundaries. To my knowledge, that's your own water system.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And I'm hoping that it's just construction water and they're not going to try to use it as a means to provide, continual water to their house.
Okay, yeah. I did have a question. What are we doing to prepare for on the 14th? I think the town's gonna be shut down the whole entire day.
Yeah, we're just gonna run the boosters and top everything off, all the way up until the point, I think it's 10 o'clock in the morning when they're gonna turn everything off, 10 to like 6:30. So we should be just fine with that shutdown, as long as we top everything off before it happens.
Okay, and is there anything that we need to do for protection? I mean, because I know we had some things burn up before.
Yeah, well, the only thing we could do is I'm gonna go around and turn off the redundant backup booster at each site, so if it does come back on and it's too much power, that it will not short things out the way it did last time.
I don't even know about this. That's a power shut off?
Yeah, on the 14th.
Yeah, man, it's been blasted all over. I've gotten literally 100 emails and text messages and phone calls.
From 10:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night.
I've gotten nothing. Okay.
Yeah, it's also going to be Lebec.
Yeah, it's all over.
Yeah.
So
they're upgrading the switching station to hopefully give us cleaner power, is what I was told by one of their linemen.
Okay.
Okay, and then just for Linda Wilkie's info, the account, all of the monies that Johnny was talking about, for including the $200, all goes into the same income, which is the new connections.
Did you say youth connections?
New connections.
Oh, new connection. Okay. Yeah.
So because we've put that in incorrect places before, so it's just we need to get I need to get a list from Johnny of the amounts, and then you as well, so that we can make sure that we're putting that in the right places, and then I would be transferring that money.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah, so it's classified as new connections, but it goes into our one of our reserve, our emergency reserve that used to be called our pipeline reserve.
Okay.
Okay, is there an administrative assistance report?
Sorry about that. I got disconnected.
Just a quick one. So I sent in the reimbursement, our second reimbursement request to Kern County for COVID expenses, and we did receive the full amount. So we received a check for $1,506.47.
Awesome.
And was that with the new, I saw on the credit card, we had a new air filtering device and some more filters. Is that including that, or is that before that?
No, that included all of that.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
I did notice,
Tiffany.
I did notice a couple of things were not classed as COVID, and we probably need to look at that, like some Lysol disinfectant we bought. We can bring it up in the financials, but we definitely probably want to just make sure that we keep tracking that.
Okay, we will do that. On to number 7. Ad hoc committee reports. I know the local information committees haven't met. Project committees.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about quite a bit with the state, the information for the state. So we're meeting again in 2 weeks on the third Thursday, and we'll be talking to Lawrence about all of the different projects that are going on. We did meet with him the last time. It was a third Thursday, and talked about that at the previous meeting. So there'll be more information on that after we meet with the state again.
Okay, then rate study committee, we haven't done anything on
I
that.
haven't heard, Johnny, have we heard anything from David at RCAC?
I have not. I haven't heard anything, so I don't know what's going on there. I probably should reach out to him and find out where we stand.
Right, he's probably still crunching numbers, and I have not gone any further on the information as far as our assets. But he did get a lot of information from us, and I think he's probably just trying to consolidate all of that.
Okay, budget committee, I don't think there's anything on that.
Have not met at all, but it'll be coming up, rapidly. We're already in April, so that we'll have to start looking at the budget again, for our July budget.
It happened so quickly.
Yeah. So Jerry's not here tonight, Director Garcia, but he's currently on that committee. And
okay, now we can go on to financial business. Number 8, discussion vote on accounts payable and financial information. Okay. This is where your report comes in, Linda.
Okay. All right, so the total cash balance as of April 6th in the cash, I'm sorry, the total cash balance as of April 6th in all the accounts is $1,962,895.24. Okay, you could see that on the balance sheet there. Then the revenue operating account has $249,674.22. Checks were cut in the amount of $115,897 for the invoiced bills and reviewed by the board for accuracy. I have a detailed loan report here, loan payment transfer report that has loan 3, 4, and 5 that are due. They need to be transferred by April 10th, due by the 15th. I don't know if you need that detail information for the amounts on that.
I could use that again, yes.
Okay, so shall I email it to you, Lisa?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, will do. All right, so so that's it on the financials that I have right now. But I want to state that the problem with the credit card statements is only the cutoff date. The cutoff date is 4 or 5 days after the end of the month, which is when the financial statements are cut off. So if you could just change the cutoff date for the credit card statements, we can get the bank statements and the credit card statements at the same time, and they all can be printed out at the same time, and they can all be reconciled at the same time.
Before we go on to that, can I just ask a question of the board as far as the payments that you're going to send me? Actually, I think I'm going to get those amounts from you tonight just to be safe also, so you can still email me. But there's extra money sitting in that account right now that was transferred in there. I don't know. I don't know how that happened exactly, but
Which account are you talking about, Lisa?
It's the USDA payment account. That's I'm saying the wrong. It's the.
Yeah, the payment fund.
Yeah. So we have interest due, and this one's just interest, correct? Not principal and interest. Principal and interest is October, or is it the opposite?
Yeah, it's just interest,
Yeah, so this is
just
just
interest.
However, there's money currently in there. So what I think we should do, even though Linda's going to give me the exact amounts to transfer, and I want to get the board's opinion on this. I'm kind of the mind that even though we have these like set amounts, that I don't transfer in all of that, because I don't think we need to have money just sitting in that account that isn't supposed to be there. So I think probably I should be looking at that account and just transferring in the amount that we actually need on top of what's there. So I don't know the best way to do that and track it, because or maybe what I think what I probably should do is I should probably transfer in exactly what I'm supposed to transfer to that account, and then remove the other money and place it back in the operating revenue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you should do what you're supposed to do for tracking, for keeping the books straight, because if you just go in and just make a difference and this and that, then it's messing up the system. So I would definitely make the transfers as written on this paper, because these are loans and they should be paid accordingly. Otherwise, they could be disallowed. Okay, and then whatever money you need to transfer out of that account. I mean, I don't know, exactly, what the account is used for. So yet, so you can transfer.
It's only for
this.
It's only for
only for what?
principal. It's only for the principal and interest payments on the loans. That's the only thing we use this account for.
And I was just given a wrong amounts to transfer at one of the points, and so there was extra money transferred in.
Oh, okay. Well, that amount, we could figure out what that amount of money was that was miscalculated and transfer that out, but we should make these payments.
Well, definitely we'll make the payments, but yeah,
I mean,
so
we should make the original payments.
Correct.
That's
Yeah,
documented.
I understand what you're saying. So because I want to make those tomorrow. So
Yeah.
so can you give me just those three so that the other board members know as well what the 3 interest payments are, and then you can send me the email?
Yes,
so-
okay,
just so
so,
Just so it's written in the minutes as well, because in the past we've transferred wrong amounts.
okay, so for loan number 3, it is $6,703.12. For loan number 4, it's $17,000. And for loan number 6, it's $23,086.87.
23.
It's a total
Oh,
23,086.87.
okay, great. Thank you.
I should have said $23,086.87. And then that total is $46,789.99.
46789.99.
Correct.
Thank you. And just, I'm sorry, one more thing to add before we move on to the credit card stuff. The amount in the operating revenue is higher than it should be currently, because I made the mistake of transferring in claim payment 1 for the Wolf tank. I transferred it twice because I didn't see that it was credited in the bank, but it was like I had to do this weird stuff to play with the dates because it wasn't coming up, and it turns out that it had been paid, but I thought it hadn't been paid, so I transferred it.
So here's the
How much was that, Lisa?
Excuse me?
How much was that?
I need to go back on the bank, but it was like 50 something.
57 something, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it was payout number 1. I don't know if Tiffany has that in front of her for Wolf Tank.
Not in front of me.
Yeah.
yeah, okay, so that's gonna bring up another, thing that I'd like to take a look at, but I only remember 157,000. Was it in February and March, or twice in March, or one in
It was
April?
it was January that it was originally paid,
Oh, January, okay. all
and
right,
then I transferred it a second time.
Okay, and that's the one I got, okay.
And that came out of what? The large contingency?
Correct. Yes. The
Okay.
capital improvement.
Capital improvement. Okay. So here's the $64 question, I guess, because we have a check here for $80,391.90 for the excavator that we're going to purchase. And so where are we taking that money from?
I believe we should take that money from, I would have liked to take that money from the emergency, or from what used to be the pipeline, but now we called that emergency, and so it's not an emergency really anymore. So I would suggest that we take it out of our SLA account, which has about 200,000 in it still, I think, two something. And
SLA, yeah,
short-lived asset.
oh, yeah.
Right. Okay. So
That would be my recommendation. Is
so
that it come-
basically, you're going to transfer the 57,000 back into the capital improvement account, and then you'll transfer the 80,000 into the from the
Right.
capital improvement SLA into the revenue operating fund.
right for the separate. Yeah. So I'm right. So
Yeah, two separate.
two separate accounts.
Also, on that check, Johnny, do you want? I shouldn't be mailing that. I should be putting that in your giving that
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I'm still waiting to find out when we're gonna get it.
Okay, so I need to give you that check.
Yes, please.
Okay. So is everybody agreement on that? That's the proper accounts to get the excavator from the short-lived asset account? I think I think that's appropriate. Because
Yeah, I'm gonna take your recommendation.
yeah, because I
You
mean,
and Lisa.
because the district systems emergency reserve, which used to be the pipeline account, there's not enough money in it to pay for that. So
And I don't think that should be used at this point to pay for that. So that's really going to be for something like a pipeline that we need in an emergency, or something that's an emergency, whereas the excavators to help us with all kinds of projects. We're not buying it for an emergency.
right. Okay. So are you okay with that, Director Kelly?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So did we want to go over the check detail, Director Schoenberg?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to do that?
Sure, I can start it. Let me grab. Got like piles of paperwork in front of me. Hold on a second. Okay, so
And you have this in front of you, correct, Linda?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, there's one more question before we go through the whole check details. So I just want to make sure. So the amount that we're paying, so we paid D this 332. We have checks for 3267, 3871.50, and 5650, which I believe comes to 7,205. That is the amount I
No.
was reporting. Is that right? No.
That's not correct. These checks that we just cut do not come to
No.
that. No, that 7205, we already had paid D. That one, we paid D initially, then Dave had money that he could pay us.
Yeah. I'm
And
sorry.
he paid that to D, and then D wrote us a check for 7205, and that's sitting in that particular account.
It's
Needs to
that's
be
sitting in
transferred. It needs to be
back-
transferred to our revenue operating account.
Right, but these checks
It's from the
are
claim
the
6.
claim, right, claim 6, so they are cut straight out of the planning. So yeah, those
Right,
are
because that $10,000 was from claim 6 that got directly deposited into the planning account.
okay. That I'm just asking my question wrong. I need to take out money from there to repay into the operating revenue, the board of directors fees and so that 10,000 that went in, I need to remove because I got a little confused on too. So there's some extra money in there as well in the FPPUD Lake of the Wood planning account that still needs to be removed and put back in operating revenue. It's just too many things going on at once. That needs to be put back in operating revenue to cover the admin and I don't believe I did that yet for
Right,
claim.
you have it. That's,
So,
you have the spreadsheet from claim 6 in your packet. And it shows board fees, 1,933.28, and then staff admin was 214.50, and then the $1,000 for the SIA access. So that total, whatever that totals, which is what, almost $3,000, whatever, that goes back into the
right. That also needs to go back in. So just before we get into the check detail. Okay. So in the regular check detail, so there was a voided check. That's fine. That zeroed out and that's not.
Could I say one other comment?
Yeah.
Also, there's the 2 Young and Wooldridge. That also, the 118 and the 236, that also has to go to the revenue operating account because we paid those 2 invoices
ahead of time.
And so now we've received the money from the state and that needs to go to us. So you'll see the whole total there, the 10,696.78.
Right.
So,
I need to add that up and transfer that. So
yes.
I need to do a whole bunch of things to straighten everything out. So, okay. So going to just the regular check detail, there's the voided check. So you guys should all have that in your packet. So there's a voided check. I'm not worried about that. That's fine. Starting with the bill payment for ADP, the dates, Linda, okay, so normally when we have any kind of payment, there's a date when you made the payment, and then under that date, you have the same date, but those should be the dates of the invoices. So instead of reading 4/5/21 on everything, all of those, and it reads it all the way down. So there are no, and that's not how it used to be. So I think that's just a mistake. So we just need to make sure that all of the dates on each invoice are actually in that other section. So it's always going to say the date you paid it in bold, and then underneath that, for each invoice, it's going to say the date of the invoice.
You're right, Lisa, and I went back and corrected all of that.
Okay.
I
so,
caught that after I printed these out and they were, already being processed. And then I went back and noticed it when I reviewed the general
Perfect.
ledger. So I went back and fixed them. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, because that is easier, makes it easier for us to know when there's something
I
wrong.
understand.
Okay, so
Okay.
that one, so ADP is fine. That's our normal. I don't know if the board's following along, but that 139.09 is for two separate. It comes up twice. It's for two separate billing periods. For
And
our
I put in a note, Lisa, that one of those payments is always late because of the timing of the board meeting.
Yeah, I
So
saw that. I saw that note, but I don't think it's a good idea to do automatic payments because,
Okay.
and that was what Linda was asking for, because it's not always that same amount. Every once in a while we have another payment, or I mean, normally Johnny does it as a completely separate, but I think that amount changes periodically. But
And as far as I know, Linda, they've never charged us for a late fee, because if you look at the invoices,
Right.
they cut the invoice and then
only give
it
us a
gives us
week.
a week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not standard processing for, they can't expect us to pay in a week.
That's true.
So,
Okay, so that's fine if you guys, I just wanted to bring it to your attention because I didn't know if you realized that it was late every month. So that's why, I attached the late payment notice. I believe that Linda
busy in a meeting. Call you
Sheldon used to
later.
throw them away. So I just wanted you to know that it was late, and then you can decide what you wanted to do, and that's fine with me. As long as you know. Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so next one is fine. It's the shredding, the advanced data storage. That's for shredding. That's a normal bill. The next one, AT&T, is our normal office landline and a couple other things that are on that. That's the same amount each time. We don't have an invoice for BC Laboratories, so that shouldn't be paid probably until we have that invoice, but we're not sure why we don't. I mean, I think Tiffany, I think Director Nyman asked Tiffany to look that up, and we didn't find that we had paid this, but it's back from February, so I'm a little concerned about that.
Right, I put a note on it, Lisa. I put a note on it. I said, I need to hold this. I asked permission to call, if I could call the vendor.
And my thing is, Linda, if you have a statement and you don't have an invoice, you can ask Johnny. If he doesn't have it, then I have no qualms with you contacting the supplier and asking them to fax over an invoice or email you an invoice,
Thank
so
you.
that we can verify it. The only thing is, like, when we're looking at these statements, is sometimes if you get a statement, usually if they have the information on there, you can look in your file to make sure that we didn't pay it like last month or something. That would,
Right.
to me, would be the first step, and then I would be contacting them saying, hey, I need an invoice with this. I don't,
And then you would just want to run that by Johnny to let him look at the invoice once you receive it to make sure that he's categorized it correctly. But because usually he gets the invoices first and says what they're for, make sure that it's something we really should be paying. Right. So, but you definitely have unless someone feels otherwise, I think the board is, you have the authority to ask for and receive those invoices.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone have a problem with that? I think we've done that. I think Linda Sheldon was doing that in the past.
Yeah, I actually appreciate her doing that.
Yeah,
Thanks, Johnny.
it's helpful for Johnny too, because he's got a lot of other stuff that's going on. So, okay, so what are we doing with that? Are we going to just pay it? Or are we going
I think what I'm going to do is I'll put it on your desk, Linda, and
Thank you.
and then you can just follow up, and we've signed it, so it's ready. It'll be ready to go. But
if it's
not, then you'll just void it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so next one, Canon Financial, that's fine. The only thing we did have a question about, we're doing a lot of color copies. What were we doing all the color copying for?
I'm not sure the ones that I just did, if they even came out on the bill yet, so I'd have to check and see, but we just had to, on the first spoil notice, we had to, and the second, we had to issue a map with yellow highlighting. So that was roughly 350, maybe 400. Well, let's see.
Yeah, because they showed about 600 and some odd copies.
3, 4, 5. That's like 550 colored copies alone right there.
Yeah, okay, that makes total sense.
But I'm kind of surprised that they showed up on the bill already, because I just did the other boil notice yesterday. But that's where the color copies are coming in from. We try not to color copy anything, but sometimes I have to.
Yeah.
Okay, next in Coastline, that was that missed bill from last time that's paid now.
That's correct.
And then Cross Connections, especially that's a quarterly bill. That should be fine. The DMV renewals are for the Polarises, which is fine. And the Ferguson Enterprises, I did have a question on that because it looked like there was a tool in it, the soil probe. Is that should that be going under tools, Johnny?
Yeah, I suppose it could be considered a tool. I let that slide by. It's just a stabby stick that we use for trying to find the pipe. So yeah,
let's put it under tool, because I'd rather know what we're spending on, no matter what kind of tool it is. It says track them, because when the budget's gonna be coming up again, and it's really helpful for us to get stuff in the right places. So that was,
and I missed that one.
Yeah, that was 99.69, Linda. It's part of that 264.57. So all the rest is distribution system, but because that was for like a meter box and lid and stuff. But the 99.69 should be a tool.
Got it.
Okay, so then there's I'm going to skip forward I'm going to come back to Fraser Park Lumber, because there's a number of just things that are not categorized the right way in there. Let me go forward to everything else, and then I'll come back to that. So the director's fees for Garcia, Gibson, and Kelling are fine. M&S Security, if you're wondering why that's more expensive, it's because we're billed every 2 months. Because I had that question. The amount for Director Nyman, the amount is correct, but it should be broken up into multiple parts also for mine. So the 182.67 under FPPUD Lake of the Wood, it should be 100 for the meeting, and then there should be 2 separate billings, one of $66 for the state planning, and then there was another additional meeting that was a half hour that was $16.57. So if you could just put those as 1, 2, 3, 4 separate amounts, they would still be 3 of them would still go to the 50003, and just one $100 amount to the.
Well, we want to show them separately so we know exactly the breakdown for each ad hoc committee in that.
Oh, okay, I have them broken out here. They are broken out on the check. Is that correct?
No.
Yeah,
I do have them broken out. I have like,
check, but it just wasn't correct on the check detail. So as long if it's, I mean, in the, yeah, I don't have. It's hard because Director Nyman has the checks and I just have the details. So, and then we compare notes before each meeting. So, yeah, it'd just be good to have it broken out in the check detail as well.
Well, it's not out on the check.
It's not on the check? Okay.
No, it's
out on the detail I'm looking at. It's out on the detail that I'm looking at, Lisa. Check number 14616. That's for Brahma?
Yes, 14616.
Hold
Can
on,
you see it's broken out?
let me find it.
No, I
maybe-
think,
You know
Linda,
what?
what you're referring to is the director detail report, and that's a report that goes to the state, not the board.
Oh, they're not talking about the check detail, Lisa?
Yeah, I'm talking about the check detail, but there's multiple check details. So there's a check detail that goes to the state that only details the director's fees, and that one, it sounds like, is correct. But there's a separate check detail that just details all of the checks, and then also the on the actual check itself, it is helpful to have it broken out so that we know what each amount is for, because
And
normally
it has the date, because normally what it has is like the date of the meeting, $100. Date of
Right.
the ad hoc, 66. Date of the meeting, 16, whatever.
Right, it doesn't have any of that. It just, and that's because the dates, like you said, you fixed that already, but that's because the dates on my check detail are not correct. So, but
Okay,
it also does,
that's probably what it is. I did break it out. I have it broken out on the check detail. You might,
Okay,
I
so
must
on-
have given
on
that
your-
to the one before that. I did, as a matter of fact.
yeah. I think you fixed it on, but I just have the older version of it. So,
Sorry about that.
oh no, that's not your fault. It's just so yeah, so good. So that one's broken out.
Yes.
The
It took a while for me to understand that, but Tiffany helped me with that and I got that done.
okay, and then the we already talked about the 80,391.90. That's
Right.
going to be transferred into the revenue operating from the, and I'm just going to make a note here from the SLA that we okayed that. And then there was no invoice again for the RVS software, so that's another bill that we have a question about, and it's also categorized incorrectly. It's under office supplies. We talked about this a couple months in a row. I can't remember now. I'm gonna have to go look at one of the old meetings, or maybe Tiffany can help me remember what we said to put that under, but it definitely isn't office supplies. It was supposed to go under
Something computer?
well, it's computer, but it has to do with the billing for the whole. I don't think it's under computer. I don't remember what I said it was under though, or what it should be under. And I think
Yeah, I don't remember, but I remember it wasn't computers.
it wasn't.
Was
It was-
not.
Was not. Okay. I'm thinking that maybe if we're going to be cleaning stuff up a little bit more, but we would have to be able to trace this for the auditors, that maybe it should be under a category that says something like billing, because that's what it is. It's like, we
Oh, that's right too. Okay. Professional services or outside services.
exactly. So, and there's another one that's coming up in a minute that should be that as well. So, but a different outside service. So anyway, that one, if you guys can make a note of that again, that because I know I've brought it up multiple times and it just we haven't gotten it in the right place. Same thing
Hasn't
with,
been changed yet. Okay.
yeah. So, and then
I wanted to say on the RVS, so that's another one I'm going to put on your desk, Linda. And you said you contacted to get the invoice, or you left a message to get the invoice. So we need to have the invoice on that, because we have no idea.
I agree.
Even on that particular statement has no information. It just says,
I agree.
this is $150 some dollars. This is what our current balance is, and it doesn't reference anything. So
Yeah, it's a terrible statement.
so we can't pay that.
Okay.
So until they send us something, so that we can make sure that we haven't paid it before,
Absolutely.
So, and then there's just some reclass stuff. So the next one's SoCal Gas is fine. That's our normal office utility, but it ended up under categories 66510, which is the main utilities, and it should actually be under 66515, which is the actual office gas, or the actual gas.
Okay.
And then the next one, Southern California Edison, is under electricity offices. That's fine. That's like a street light that I guess is getting billed separately now. But that's fine where that's at. Workers' comp is,
Well, yeah, I think it was, they billed that separately and then I think on the next bill, it was, I don't know, there's another utility there, bill there that has that same amount in it. So I'm not quite sure of whether it went in or out. So I think they credited the bill for that amount. The electricity bill, the big one.
Yeah, the second one is 5,255.70.
Right. Yeah, where is that? Now, let me
It's
see.
on the fourth page.
Oh, there it is, 5,000, Southern California.
That's
Yeah.
all.
But that,
Yeah,
but that,
Brahma, you look, if you could look at that bill, that 5,053.01, and see that the 1746 was on that bill too.
Well,
And so
then-
I
hold on a second, I gotta find it.
give me 1 minute. I have to let my dogs in. My husband disappeared, so.
I'm looking for it. I got papers everywhere here. Hold on a second, folks.
you both.
Okay, I'm back.
Lisa and Brahma are drowning
Brahma.
in papers.
Yeah,
I'm drowning in paperwork and I'm
Welcome to
trying
my
to find, I'm trying to find it. Oh, okay. Well, there's that. What did I do with the? There's the check.
The dog ate it.
Yeah, it's my dog's fault, I think.
Yeah, you can't blame your husband.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe today. you
Okay,
can.
here it is. Here it is. Hold on a second.
okay, well, while you're looking that up, can I just go, so
Yeah.
the state compensation, that was fine. The website, the Streamline, that's another one that's categorized incorrectly. It shouldn't be computer maintenance. We've talked about this for multiple months, and I'm pretty sure that we said that we were going to put it under website as a
Professional services.
service.
I think you were going to create a web.
Right. I don't know if Tiffany or if I need to look back at that, but it's in our minutes because I know we've said it multiple
And
times.
it's gonna be called website. Okay.
Yeah, website under professional services and then a billing under professional service or billing or billing software under professional services or something. I don't know. How should we put that?
Okay.
Tiffany, do you have any ideas? I don't know about billing
Okay.
software, but billing.
So Streamline is a computer
Streamline
services.
is,
So
yeah, Streamline is who takes care of our website.
Okay, I don't see that. I don't see that $17 in this 5,255. I don't see it anywhere. I just went through all the bills.
on the bill,
Yeah.
did you look at the bottom where there's 5,000, where it says the total bill, the total amount?
It says it's previous balance. The past due amount
Right.
is
Now,
1746.
right.
So
So-
your new charges,
That's a
your new charges, the new charges was 50. So we didn't pay it. So
So
we
the
have
1746
that's yeah.
was not paid.
That was
Right.
not paid, right? So the total amount we
But,
owe
oh,
is,
no, I wrote a check for that. I wrote this
Yeah,
check for that.
there's
to
a
someone.
check. So
yeah.
are we,
Yeah, the checks are fine. The way she has two
Okay.
separate checks and it's fine.
no,
So-
no, I don't think so, because if that's a past due amount, that's a problem. That's not a street light. You were saying street light. This is a past due amount, the 17.
Well, that's, but that's because it was a bill that came in because we had paid the bill before.
And then a new
Let me-
bill came.
Let me find the other
So-
bill. Okay, so this bill that's due by, it shouldn't be past due. I don't know why they have past due on that one, because this was from
Me neither.
March 1st to the April 1st, $17.46. It said and on that bill, it showed zero as a balance forward, but they're not charging us a late fee. I don't see.
Then
So
we
then-
shouldn't be paying that 1746.
Yes. No, Lisa, you're not looking at the bill. It said, so it says your new charges is 5,255.70. And that's what she made the check out to. And she made the other check for 1746. It says the total amount you owe is 5,273.16.
Right, because it has a past due.
Because it's this check, which isn't past due, it's gonna balance it out. They're gonna get both checks. It adds up to that total amount that they say we owe.
They say we owe it, but we're paying a past due we shouldn't be paying.
No,
Well, we owe it,
we
but
owe
we don't
it.
know why they're saying it's past due.
I don't know why they're saying it's a past due amount, because when I look at this bill right here, this bill says that it was due by 4/19.
Right, but is there a separate charge on the $5,000 bill
No,
for a street light, or are we paying a past due that we shouldn't be paying?
there, it says previous balance was 1746 because they had cut this thing, before.
I think we're paying a past due for $17.46 that we shouldn't be paying.
I'm looking at it right here. We paid last month 5,175.43. It showed our balance is zero. It says your new charges is 1746. Why they don't show that on there? They gave this to us separately. They printed us one separately for 1746.
For a past due amount that we didn't pay.
Lisa, just because it says past due, because if it's,
I'm asking what the 1746 is actually for.
it says charges for lamps in service, 500 Park Drive. It needs to be paid.
Is that the light that's in the yard?
I don't know. But it's correct, Director Schoenberg. Because this whole account is showing the summary. So for some reason, they just printed one bill and didn't have all the summary of the other ones for 1746.
Which is for a street, which is for the light.
And then it looks like they printed another one that has the summary of all our locations, Elm, Harrison, Lower, Office, and they put the previous balance because they probably printed this 1746. So the total amount that we owe is 5,273.16.
Okay, I'm just making sure it's for an actual electrical bill and not for past due.
It's an electrical bill.
Okay.
But it's for 5,000 Park
No,
Drive.
yeah, for 1746.
Yeah, that's the light inside the district yard,
Okay, so
right
that's
in,
fine.
right in
So
the
they-
middle.
So they're charging separately for that now. So that's fine. So then that's correct as far as how it's categorized and everything, and that's fine that we're paying it. So so we did website is streamlined, so we're gonna fix that. Voyager is fine. We already talked about the director's amount for myself. Linda's is fine. And then the date again is just, we just need those dates, but Linda said she did that for the 500 that we paid her as well.
One thing, Linda, you didn't give me an envelope for your checks. Do you want me to just leave them on your desk?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah. Save you a stamp and, I can go in and pick it up. I might not be there till Monday, but
Well, I'll probably put it there tonight, so it'll
Okay.
be fine.
Okay, and then moving on to the last page, there's Fraser Park Lumber, which is a separate bill from the other one that I said I was going to go back to. That's fine. It's categorized correctly. It's for sand and
it's not a
plywood.
separate bill. It's two items I left off. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
why it's all
Okay.
the same one bill, but I missed those two when didn't add up. So I said, oh, I missed something. So I went back and got those
Okay,
two.
so that was for separate invoices, but that was for sand and plywood, so those are fine. Joint powers is our normal, all of our medical, dental, vision. Then there's Southern California Edison. That one got miscategorized as well. It's under just you. There's two separate amounts. One of them should be under office electrical, not straight utilities. So it should be under that. It's 656511 instead of 56510
Okay.
or 6565.
66511.
Yeah, I can't.
Okay.
I can't. It's dark in my house. Okay, so and then the other one's fine. The pump power, and then the transaction warehouse is also incorrectly categorized. It's under computer maintenance. That one, we've brought that up a couple of times. Every time you see transaction warehouse, that's actually our merchant fees that they charge us. It's for all of the bank cards that we process.
Oh, okay.
So you need to change that to merchant fees.
Right.
So that was
I
all
hope you've written this all down, right, Linda?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. Huh? This
Okay,
brings
so
up another good
There's
point
one
too.
more-
of these-
there's one more big category, which is, well, two more big categories. So one is Fraser Park lumber, and there's a number of items that are incorrectly categorized in there, even though they're little tiny cheesy amounts. So I can go through it quickly. The first one for $48, I'm not going to give the change. So the 48 one is correct. That's distribution system. The next one is for it's office. I think it's office expenses. It's for grease. It's for degreasing the sink or something like that. It's not.
We don't need to
Office
give
supplies.
we just need to give what the categories are.
Yeah.
These, we'll take too
Okay.
much time doing that.
Okay, so the $12 one is under tools. It's a socket. It should be under tools. Johnny missed that, I think. It didn't say it on it, but the next one is office. It was for keys and stuff to do with keys. Next one is office as well for
1071.
1071. The next one for 545 is also office. 7718 is distribution. 5575 is tools. 6746 distribution. 5360 office. It was ice melt. Office. Are we putting that's office expense? I believe, not supplies.
Well, what is it? What was
It's
it?
ice melt. It was to put in the driveway to melt the ice.
Yeah.
Anyways,
expense.
Johnny wrote on these invoices, office, and you put them in his distribution system. So we
Oh,
need to,
really? I'm
yes.
sorry, Johnny.
Except
All
for
of
All right.
except for a couple of them. No, there was a couple that it was not written. It just wasn't written under tools. But yeah, so so all the rest are correct except for the last one, the 535 was also office. And then I'm not sure about the 535 vehicle maintenance. That was like super glue remover. I don't know why that got put under vehicle maintenance. Is that?
Well, it was to take the old stickers off of one of the trucks.
Yeah, so that's fine. Yeah, we talked about that actually. I forgot about. And then there's one missing invoice. I have 238977. Oh, that's the one that's later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we already talked about that. Yeah, so there were two. And then so that's all that. And then the last thing is the California Bank and Trust, which is all of the credit card stuff, which is there's stuff that's not categorized, miscategorized, not your fault. It's just not written down on the invoices, and some stuff we don't even know what it is.
So I think this is what we have, Johnny, when, I mean, normally you try to put on the categories on your, like your Amazon bills.
Yeah, well, see, or it's in the PO line, what it is.
Yeah, there was a couple in the PO line.
Okay.
I put in, as a PO, I put where it should be categorized.
So Linda, let me ask you a question just to make it easy. Because this was last minute, because on the check detail, our copy just shows EBT. You were telling me, is that what you were saying, that you were gonna put those in on Monday? Is that why it just said EBT? Wait a second, Director Schoenberg.
Let me see, where's,
But I don't have that. I have California Bank and Trust written on mine for the category.
Well, I meant California Bank and Trust. Excuse me.
yeah, oh, yes, Brahma, that's what it is. I just wrote the check quickly because I didn't have enough time to categorize everything.
Okay, so you will be categorizing them.
I will be, yes.
Okay. Is there a way that, okay, so normally that on the check detail, we would see that along with the bill. So I would be able to do the same thing I do on the Fraser Park lumber, right?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so yeah, that's just what's missing, because that's definitely makes it's really hard to go through because we don't have that. And I think Linda Sheldon
So
did
Lisa,
not do that, which it really
she
is.
didn't break it out? Okay,
No, and we need it broken out
I can do
because
that.
it's a headache.
Yeah, I agree.
Every time Director Nyman and I spend about an hour on just the because we can't find stuff and we don't know what's what on just the stuff for the credit cards. And then I think the credit card company may have misbilled some, or either it's attached to the wrong stuff. There's some things that are under Tiffany that I think should have been under Johnny. It's just they got either stapled together wrong. And then we have
because when we did Johnny's, there was a transposition. So there was a $54 check. And so then Linda cut the $54 check. And then I took it into the bank. And I don't know whether I wrote the wrong number down for them or whether the bank made the mistake, but it seemed they put $54 on Tiffany's account.
Oh,
And-
okay.
And then they charged us interest, which seemed like a lot of interest, which I don't understand. Because because we pay off every month. I mean,
Yeah.
except for $54, but interest on $54 shouldn't be $28.64 in finance charges.
Well, you could call and ask them to reverse that. They'll reverse it.
Yeah.
They'll take it off.
So can you
So
put a note to
here's
yourself?
what I'm gonna do. I'm sorry.
I was just telling Director Nyman, we need to put a note to ourselves because we'll have to call the bank, I guess, and ask them to reverse that unless you're gonna try to do that. I think it probably has to come from us.
Well, Lisa, if you could do that, and while you're at it, ask them to unlock me because I got locked out. It's like 2 times and they locked me out. So I know they just have to get used to,
They
you know,
can't, they're
me-
not,
yeah, they
yeah, you can't just call them. It's a big hassle. You have to call it different. It's a whole different, it's not the bank.
Oh,
So
geez.
if I could just reset your password again, it'd probably be easier.
That's the easiest. Okay.
Yeah,
All
it's,
right. Well, I'll be in on Monday. I'll give you a call on Monday and see if you're available, and then we'll take care of it. Thank you. I'm sorry
Okay.
for the, but you know, I'm used to, you know, a CBT. They do that all the time. It takes me a few times to get in
what
okay
they
with them.
do is if you use a character that's not a correct character that they approve, that it locks you out no matter how many tries. One try.
Oh,
So that's always, so you just have to be really like, you know, write down somewhere where you remember it. It's important not to use the wrong characters because they only allow a very limited amount of characters.
right. Okay.
And it
Well,
locks
I'm
it.
gonna make it easier this time. Okay.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do, what I'd like to do is I'm going to make all these corrections, and then I'm gonna reprint you a check detail.
Oh, that'd be
Okay, so that you have
Okay.
all the changes, so that you know that I did it.
okay.
Okay, and that we're okay moving forward.
Right. And
Okay.
then if there's something
So-
still strange on and probably we might want to go back when you have some time
Yes.
to look at the other credit card categorization. So when we do the budget, we know kind of, you know, what's what, because I think I know some of those like were COVID things, but it looks like we already got reimbursed for that. But there were a couple other things that I'm not sure going under the right places either, like the some of the software.
Right, okay. Well, you know, the stuff on the check detail is easy to fix. It's the disbursements that are going for different grants that I'm thinking about, but that's for down the
Right.
line. So anyway, so what I wanted to, oh, I'm sorry, do you have more? Anything else on
No,
this?
I think that's it. So before we go on, I'm going to move that we approve or pay our bills with the exception of the couple that are sitting on your desk waiting for invoices.
Mhm.
I'll second that.
Okay, Director Kelly has seconded that. Roll call of directors. Director Garcia is absent. Director Gibson,
Aye.
Director Kelling,
Aye.
Director Nyman's an aye. Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
motion carried 4-0, 1 absent. Okay. Okay.
I just
moving-
have a question that I'd like you all to think about. I work late and I like to, work at night, and so I'd be going to the office over there, and working late there, and then my husband has to come and meet me there so I can come out to my car. So I was wondering, Bill at PC referred me to it's a software called AnyDesk. And I wanted to know if you guys could talk about maybe me having access to my computer from my home office so that I can even work more on everything. Because I work late, late into the evening and stuff like that, because it's nice and quiet, everybody's in bed. And, there are things that, I want to show you, what I want to do versus what's being done and stuff like that. And there's not enough time in the day to do that kind of stuff. So I could also do things like do the bank recs from home. I wouldn't take anything from the office and bring it home. The only things I would do from home are the things that I can do virtually. So I'd like you all to think about that. I have access to everything anyway, so having access from here to the computer is kind of the same thing. So just a thought. Okay.
You would still be coming in every week though, right? Because
Oh yeah, I have to come in. I have to come in and do the payables and do the receivables and do the filing and do certain, like for right now, I'm coming in on Monday because I've got some things in my work to do file that has to be done, like sending in the 1099 correction, and there's a letter in there from someone that wants a report, and then I got an email. So I've got quite a few things to do on Monday. So that might take up my time to enter my, deposits and things like that. So if I could like reconcile over here and do a few things over here that I don't need paperwork for. So it would just be stuff that I could do online, not the payables or the receivables or filing or anything like that. Because I stayed there till like 11. One time I was, I don't know what time I was there the latest, but I stay there till midnight or after midnight sometimes.
Yeah, and
So
that's
it'd be nice if I
dangerous.
could Well, my husband comes in and meets me. I wake him up and I say, okay, I'm ready to go home. And he comes and meets me outside, and then we come home together. So
But you're
anyways,
saying
so
your office, not the PUD office.
No, she's been coming to the
well, no,
PND
I've been
office.
working at the franchise, the PD office. I've been
Okay.
there that late, yeah. Which I don't mind because I like to work late at night. I just prefer to work late at night at my home office,
Got it. I mean, the only thing I would worry about, but we're not so wonderful. I mean, I don't know, would be like any kind of security issue, only because we have somebody doing, maintenance on our computer and we're backing things. I mean, I don't know if there'd be any kind of issue with that on your home computer, as opposed to, having stuff, but that would be my only concern.
Yeah, have you got alarm?
Yeah, well,
have you got
there
an
won't be.
have you got an alarm system
sorry,
at your
John?
house? Have you got an alarm system at your house, Linda?
No,
I'm just.
but I have
mean,
passwords.
Well, yeah, but if these people now, their main crime is stealing checking account information and different types of information and finding passwords and stealing computers. And if somebody were to break into your house and they would find wherever you have your passwords, or Bill showed me that on my computer, unless you clear the cache, every time you use the computer, somebody goes in right after you and can find the passwords. So I'd be concerned with that. That's why we have the office alarm.
Right, but that's Well, I have 4 dogs, 4 big dogs. I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to come into my house with my dogs here. But I think, as you're saying, passwords. Yeah, well, I can clear the cache every time. I work on all my clients from home and from my office in Fraser Park. So
Oh, I understand.
I haven't had any problems yet.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my only
And in the accounting world, it's done a lot.
a lot. Yeah, I know. And Linda Sheldon was also working on our stuff from home. So yeah, I would just say that would be important.
Is that you or me? I can't hear you.
I don't know.
Well, you all just think about it and, let me know. Right now, everything's fine. I can, keep doing what I'm doing. And
Linda was,
there's extra reports and extra things I want to supply.
Well, Linda was doing it. And so unless somebody on the board.
Is it my internet?
It's got to be, yeah.
Yeah, I think, Linda, that would be fine if you can hear us, because we already had our previous bookkeeper was working on things from home, but anything, she basically what you're suggesting she was doing. So I would just, as long as you're clearing the cache and being careful with things, I mean, we already had that. And
as long as it doesn't start costing more money, because the other Linda tried to say she needed to buy office supplies and toner because she was working on our stuff at home. So we already provide that stuff at the office. So.
Are you there, Linda?
Uh-oh, I can't hear you. Dave, can you fix my computer? I can't hear anybody. No.
You can't hear us?
There you go. Now I hear you, Rama. Oh, you heard me say, Dave, fix my computer.
Yes.
Okay. No, I'm back. I'm back. I can hear everybody now. So I will take all the precautions that I need to take. So you just have to let me know whether if I can do that or not.
We already did. We basically what we said, and you couldn't hear us, was that our previous bookkeeper was already doing that, and we and there were just 2 caveats that we mentioned, which were that yes, we would want you to take precautions like clearing your cache and making sure that that there weren't things left over that shouldn't be, and just being really aware of that. And also, basically clearing your history, and also that we wouldn't want to pay extra for toner or anything like that. We would already have been providing at the office, that we're already paying for. So it's just as far as billing or anything, but otherwise she was doing the same thing.
Okay.
Okay. We need to move on. Number 9, discussion vote on treasury management resolution. Tiffany, me and Lisa went and took care of that months ago at the bank.
Well, why are we having to do it again? We did it during COVID, so it hasn't been that long.
You filled out this resolution form and took it to the bank?
Yes.
So who's the authorized agent?
Director Schoenberg, and my name's on there.
And then who's the resolution signers?
I don't know. It's whatever we gave it to. I know we did it because we had to make an appointment with them to do it and fill this out, but I don't remember.
We had a meeting with Brenda.
Yeah, we did everything with Brenda.
I think that's her name.
And we were wearing masks, so it was after last March.
Okay, I'll see
because we had to give PIN codes and everything.
If Sherry can figure it out, because whoever is the authorized agent needs to get our front desk a login for the remote check scanner because it's just not working for her to be using mine anymore. And
We
they're,
did all that. We did all that. They were supposed to be, that was all supposed to be taken care of. I don't know what's going on.
they
they-
did none of that.
Ugh.
The
We
bank had
filled
no
this thing
idea.
out and we signed it and everything and we gave it to them.
We had to do like PIN numbers. We had to do all kinds of
If we
stuff.
could change this bank, I'd go to another bank because I am tired of this bank. Every time we turn around, we're having to redo things.
Yeah, they have no idea. They don't have anybody in the system. It's like it never happened.
Chase
Tanya
is the
doesn't have
best
the other-
bank. I must say, Chase is a great business bank.
It's just very difficult. It's just very difficult to deposit daily funds when you have to drive 45 minutes to get there.
Yeah, I know. I just,
That's true.
we seem to
But they have a check scanner you can get too. You can do that from the office. If
Okay.
We already,
you,
we already
Well,
scanned checks.
okay, she needs to ask Brenda what she did with the paperwork.
Maybe you or Lisa could follow up. I don't know if they'll only talk to me so far.
Okay, let's go in there, Brahma. We have some other issues we have to deal with them about.
All right,
Well,
Here's
how
a-
fun for you.
Yeah, like we don't have enough to do. We'll just have to figure out a day, but yeah, we spent a while there doing this. So
okay, let's move on because we're not doing it tonight.
Yeah.
Number 10, discussion vote on book asset detail. We've already discussed this. We've not done anything. Okay, we can move on to number 16, discussion vote on Fourth Amendment to Communication Site Lease Agreement.
I thought we did this.
Didn't
Well, we did, and then there was another line of legalese that they put in about the auto renewals. So it had to come back to you. You guys can't even sign it yet. They said, no, don't sign it until the board approves it. Then this guy has to send it up the chain at T-Mobile, then it'll come back for signatures.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I haven't been all the way through this and compared it to the last.
All right, well,
thought I didn't look at it because I thought we had already done it.
Yeah, and if we table it until the next meeting, I'll get the email and send you the email of what he says they changed.
Okay,
Okay.
can we table it? How much is on the next on the planning meeting, Tiffany?
I don't have too much. I don't have any extra items.
Okay, so can we put this on the planning?
Yeah.
We had something else that was gonna go on there. We've already discussed it, but I forgot what it was.
The minutes.
Well, this is getting-
Oh, yeah, the minutes.
Okay, all right, move on to 17, discussion vote on annual
Wait,
assessment.
wait, wait. If we're gonna table it, don't we need to vote it?
Okay, I entertain a motion that we table.
I'll move that we table the discussion and vote on the Fourth Amendment to the communication site lease agreement.
Do I hear a
I'll-
second?
I'll second that.
Director Schoenberg, second it.
Well,
call
with the amendment that we're moving it to the planning meeting,
Okay,
regular meeting.
you accept that friendly
I
amendment,
accept
Director
that
Kelly?
friendly amendment.
Okay, roll call of directors. Director Garcia is absent. Director Gibson,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I, Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried, 401 absent. All right, 17, discussion vote on annual special assessments.
Okay.
Can I
give you
Can
a
I
couple
make a motion before we start this, because I think we're gonna run over just slightly. Can I move that we continue business, if we hit the 9 o'clock mark, until we finish business?
Do I hear a second?
I'll
second,
second it.
but I don't
Okay,
think we're going.
Director Gibson seconded it. Roll call of directors. Director Garcia is absent. Director Gibson,
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Okay, Director Nyman's and I, Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried 4-0, 1 absent. All right.
Okay, so it's time, by the 1st of May, we have to submit what accounts we're gonna be, that we will be submitting to the county, not the customer accounts, just that we're gonna be going after them, our fund list. So I know the paperwork I gave you might be a little bit confusing, but I wanted to give you an idea of what we're going against as far as the past due customers. So this is the first time we have past due customers with accounts that are 6 months or more delinquent that are active accounts. Normally, we would have shut off counts by now, and if they hadn't paid, submitted them to the county. But because of COVID, we're looking at active customer accounts that are more than 6 months delinquent. If you look at the first list I gave you, those are accounts that are more than 3 months delinquent. We're looking at $30,000 in outstanding balances. We've never gone up against this before. What I tried to do was pare that down a little bit on the second sheet with the green highlighting. And what I did was removed any accounts that were at least actively making payments. So accounts that were trying to pay and have paid in the last 1 or 2 months, I removed. And what we have left is 36 accounts. And on there, I'm showing you when's the last time they paid and how much is outstanding. The ones that are highlighted in green are locked off accounts, so those will go to county and it won't really be an issue because they're not active. But we need to kind of decide what we want to do.
Some of these haven't paid since before COVID, so they definitely
are, yeah.
Yeah, so like that's just baloney. I don't even, so let's see, which not a lot of them. Most of them are post-COVID, so I don't know, but what are we gonna do? Just keep letting, and some of these did get partially paid, right? Like some of these people got that $500.
I think everybody, to be honest, everybody on the single page list had funds paid through self-help.
Right, so I think we should submit, that's my personal thought, is that we should submit these and let them get paid as part of the tax roll.
Yeah.
But how many are actually renters versus owners? Because if you're a renter and it's in your name.
Well, it ultimately doesn't matter at this point, because the owner always ends up responsible, even if they do an owner-tenant directive. The only time that would change is if the owner refuses to pay the bill and then a tenant moves in and creates their own new account.
Okay.
Hmm.
That was my only, I don't want to make
My-
the owner filter something the tenant has done.
My only thought is, well, see, if the owner should have the tenants creating their own accounts then, but most of them don't want to give up that right.
Right.
But I'm wondering if anything comes down the pike to help pay for this kind of stuff, then we would miss out on that money. But who knows?
I don't think we can count on that.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think we.
I don't think we should wait to count on that.
And all of these are $500, were $500 more. So that's a lot of money some of these people haven't paid. Like they're just not paying their bill, period.
That's
They're
true,
not even
yeah.
trying.
Because they know they're not getting cut. They know they're not getting cut
They're
off.
not getting turned off, right? So
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, these are 700, 800, 500. I mean,
I know.
plus add 500 to that we already paid off as part of that grant.
right.
So I get struggling, but not trying at all is not like no one's letting people just not try it all because of COVID. They might be helping them with some money. They might be like putting a moratorium on them getting kicked out or stuff getting shut off, but they're not saying they don't ever have to pay their bills.
Well, yeah, I know they're not saying that, but legally people know what their rights are. And I've heard people actually brag about how they haven't paid rent or any of their utilities since this began. They're gloating. Some people gloat over it. And
But
if you're not
eventually
trying-
they're going to,
yeah, eventually they'll get stuck with it, but then they'll just move somewhere else and do it again. Except for the homeowners, because they have to pay their tax bill.
yeah.
Right, but the homeowners can also address it by eventually getting more rent if the people stay there. So,
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
once COVID's over and stuff. So I think, you know, I mean, I don't know.
I think we ought to do
Well,
it too. I think we should turn it into the county.
Yeah, aren't most of these homeowners? I mean, it seems to me like it would be a smaller amount of renters that are, but I don't know.
You know, Tiffany, if, because you made up the list, do you know if they're owners versus renters?
It's both.
Is
Yeah.
it about 50-50?
But it's some owners, it's a mix.
And the owners all know that no matter who the bill's name is in, they all know that they're ultimately responsible.
And
If
they're
they rent
getting
it-
notified.
I try to tell owners all the time, why don't you just charge more for rent and you pay the water bill so you don't ever get stuck with a water bill from a tenant? But some people just don't want to, they refuse to do that. And then they wind up in this situation where a tenant runs up their bill.
Yeah, some of these highest past due are before COVID.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in February of 2020, hey, COVID hadn't, right?
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't until March.
And those are some big amounts, 800, 700, so yeah.
Actually, these are all post-COVID because that's the last payment date. So the February, they last paid in February and then COVID hit and they haven't paid a dime since COVID hit.
Right.
So actually all of these last payments are post. Now that I'm looking at them, I'm wrong. Every single one of them is after COVID happens and we stop shutting stuff off.
Okay.
Except for that one that's 10/23/2019.
Where's that one? Oh yeah, but that person's already locked off.
Yeah.
Any of the
But
green ones that are locked off, absolutely.
No,
If,
number
you know,
31. 31. I
30.
don't know why they're not locked off. but
31, that's, I would think they'd be locked off.
Yeah,
Well,
why?
some of the people could have been on a payment plan too. So they would owe more than you normally would let them get behind. Because once we had to start doing the payment plan, people could owe quite a bit of money and still keep their water on as long as they kept to the payment plan.
Right.
And I believe number 31, and there's a couple others. Actually, the reason why that payment date is so far back is because we submitted them to county last year. So we wiped their account, submitted it to county, and then they still haven't paid. So it's continuing to rack up.
Well, you know what? I think it's the time has come, right? The other shoe is dropping. I mean,
Well, yeah, and how this works, you know, that we submit it to the county, but that doesn't mean it gets paid. So what happens is we submit it to the county, it becomes a write-off because it becomes a bad debt. And so we no longer carry it on our books. It goes away. However, you know, some people never pay their taxes. And so then they just, so it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to recoup this, but at least the county is trying to recoup it for us.
yeah, first step, right?
Right.
Okay, but if we turn it into the county and we write this off, does that mean that they start over? Or do we
Yep.
keep accumulating?
They go
Start
back
over.
to zero balance.
Yep, and they can continue doing what they're doing until Newsom lifts that ban.
Well, but or they run it up and they don't pay. I mean, either way, it's probably not going to get paid. The only way that it would get paid is if, like Johnny said, if we get another grant, so that grant actually paid, a number of these people's bills. And
Well,
then maybe
do
another
we
one.
send them to collections?
No, you only send to collections when it's a tenant who has signed where the owner refuses to pay, tenant that signs their own agreement with us, and then we can only go to collections. And collections is not good because not only do you pay collections, but they only do pennies on the dollar.
Mhm.
Collections is the worst case scenario where you're not going to get much of anything.
Yeah, we do, once it's sent to Kern County, we will eventually get the money back. It just may take longer than 5 years because even if it goes into a property tax sale, where the county forecloses the house, they have to pay the back taxes and then we eventually get our payment. It's just, it could take many, many years.
Well, then let's start the many, many years right now and do it.
And one other question, do you think it's worth a phone call with Alan Dowd? It's just a really weird
Yeah,
situation in history, and I
I
just
think
want to make sure we're not doing anything wrong.
I think it's worth a phone call, and it's also worth a phone call to the Kern County to ask what other places are doing, or even to the state of California to ask what other utilities are doing.
Or I
So-
wouldn't even know who you'd call it at the state.
They're what?
I don't even know who you would call at the state level.
It
County
would
level,
be-
county
it would
level's easy.
It would be somebody like Aqua or somebody that deals with. I mean, it would be like one of the water conglomerates. Huh?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's right. We could go to one of our associations like
Yeah,
CSDA
we
and
would,
Aqua.
we would go to an association. We would say, hey, this is our issue. COVID hit. This is a brand new for us. Yeah, because I went to a seminar that was talking about some of these issues already. But it was different than it wasn't. There were hardly any PUDs on it. It was mostly other types of. Actually, I guess no, there were PUDs. There were hardly any water companies. It was electricity mostly.
Okay, so what are we going to do at this point? You're going to have,
You get a vote to approve it, contingent upon what Alan Dowd and the county says.
okay,
When does this have to be turned in by, Tiffany?
So the first thing we have to turn in is on the 1st of May, and that's just the general district maintenance information sheet. So all that's telling them is that we intend to collect our standby fees, and we intend to collect delinquent accounts. So we don't have to list accounts yet. We just have to tell them that we're gonna seek funding under those two
So
categories.
can we carry this over to the next meeting, to the one more thing on our planning meeting, unfortunately, and then get some additional information? That would be my motion would be to table this to the next meeting that we have, which is the planning meeting, and to direct you, Tiffany, and Johnny, or to get some additional information both from our attorney and from the Kern County tax collection, and then also from a association that we're a part of. Maybe try a couple of different associations.
do I hear a second?
Second that.
Director Kelling, second that. Roll call of directors. Director Gibson,
Aye.
Director Kelling,
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I, Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Motion carried 401. Okay. Number 18, discussion vote on continuing modified services.
All right,
Adopt-
I'd like to suggest that we open up the front lobby again since everybody else has opened up. And also, me and Tiffany's been talking. When we do that, we're losing so much in credit card fees. You might want to entertain the thought of if people come into the office to pay, that they pay a credit card fee, but if they pay online, that they don't. Or you just decide to charge everybody credit card fees again. And because with all the money we're losing, we probably need to get as much as we can from wherever we can.
Did we stop the credit card fees because of Newsom?
Yeah, well, because of COVID, but mainly because we closed the office and we wanted people to start paying online. So, and it's really worked out well. We have a lot of people paying online, which frees up, a lot of the work and a lot of the transference of money to the bank because they do it all online. But it might be time to.
I like the idea of charging for people to physically come in and pay with a credit card, because they could still come in and pay with cash if they, don't have credit cards or don't have, and that way it still encourages people to pay online, that the online be free. So that sends even more people online, and also people who are sickly, who have not yet got a shot, or whatever, are afraid of the vaccine, whatever, for whatever reason, if people are not wanting to come into the office, it doesn't create a situation where they need to come into the office.
I like that idea too. That's a good spin on it right there.
So how do we let people know that?
When they walk in the door, we tell them.
We could also post something on the outside of the door. We can put something in the paper if we decide we really need to.
I think we should at least post on the door.
Yeah, no problem.
Probably on the web, but because, if you're going to say, if you walk in,
Oh,
you
yeah,
gotta cut the fee, but if you pay from your home, you don't. And it's kind of like, well, gosh, why didn't you tell me that before I got here?
Right. So it could go on the website as well. Is that difficult, Tiffany?
No, I can put it on there.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I make a motion. I move that we make some changes to our modified services, that we begin to collect our credit card fees again for number one, that we reopen the office so that customers can come into the office, but I think we should still keep it a certain amount of customers at a time, like maybe 2 customers at a time, a limit on it.
And they must wear a face mask.
And they must wear a face mask.
Oh, of course.
Secondly, that we reinstate our credit card fees for in-person transactions, because that takes more, it's for a number of reasons that costs us more. It could cost us more in employees being out, whatever. And that we not increase the fees for online services, that stay no charge, and also that we post both on the door, on our website, and anywhere else that we can post without additional charge, the explanation of those changes.
Do I hear a second?
Second that.
I'll second it.
Director Kelly has seconded it. Roll call of directors. Director Gibson. Director
Aye.
Garcia is absent. Director Gibson's an aye. Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Nyman's an aye. Director Schoenberg. Director Schoenberg, unmute yourself.
Oh, aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. 401 absent. Okay, 20, discussion vote on future agenda items.
Hey, can I ask something about the modified services. Can I ask, I mean, doing Zoom meetings is really working for me. Do we need to start having them at the office?
Tiffany, I asked Tiffany that too. She said, unless Newsom changes the law, when he lifts all these restrictions, then we'll have to go back to the office.
Right, because it's against the, there's a law that says that we have to meet in person, and there's all kinds of stipulations. If you don't meet in person, you need to post stuff on your door, have your residence open to other people to attend. You know, it's like a big crazy thing. But I don't know, you know, when he's going to lift those restrictions. But right, when he lifts that, we need to be in person again.
Well, and I'm not a betting man, but I would put a little bit of money on the fact that there's still going to be COVID around. And even if they opened on June 15th, like they're saying, I would bet that they'll still have provisions for people that aren't vaccinated and can't go to a board meeting. So I think that this is going to stick around for a little while. That's my thought.
Well, and they still don't know if the vaccinations all work against, you know, different variants, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and then for how long and anything else. One said that it lasts at least 6 months. It says, well, that's not long enough.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
on the 20, discussion vote on future items. I think we pretty much, we're clear on that. Is there anything else we need to add?
Nope.
Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion that we adjourn.
I will make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Director Kelling is seconded. Roll call of directors. Director Garcia is absent. Director Gibson.
Aye.
Director Kelling.
Aye.
Director Nyman's an aye. Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned at 9:06 p.m. Thank you,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Lisa, I'll be by shortly.